Hello, 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 all of you beautiful nerds from around the world. What is going on, everybody? And welcome to another community stream here on the Den of Nerds Live. Should be a very cool one today. Want to talk about cartoons, man. What classic cartoons do we as a community want to be seen in live action? I think there's some obvious picks. But I think there's potentially some less than obvious picks as well. I'd be very interested to see what a bunch of different people have to say about this. The link is in the chat, guys. If you want to join in on our conversation about this, check out the link in the chat. All you need is a StreamYards account. And you can come on in here and you can talk about different cartoons that we want to see in live action. And beyond just what people want to see in live action, I'm also pretty interested to know what's the take. What would it be like? You know what I mean? What would the live action cartoon be like in your opinion? If you're pitch to us. Do you know what I mean? But first, let's bring in the first person to join the community stream. It's Hawk's Holocrons, Scottie Hawk. What's going on, man? It's a little bit low. I mean, it's low for me. I'll actually let me see. Go ahead. Give me a little bit more.
Check one.
Okay,
two,
yeah, that's
test,
better.
test.
That's better. We can work with that. All right, cool. Yeah, I think we got you on here. I think that audio sounds good. Chat, let us know. How's the audio sound? Is it good? And this is your first time being on a community stream, yes?
Yes, on yours, correct.
Cool.
Correct.
So, do you have a pick right off the bat? Is there something that you would really love to see from cartoons, maybe some of your favorites, to be brought over to the MCU or to live action rather?
Yeah, man. Reoccurring theme here with the background and the T-shirt. I think this is something that we might already be seeing because all the rumors you've been talking about with the Ahsoka and all that stuff. I hope that we'll see some characters that were in Rebels extended into live action potentially. Who knows what they're gonna do, man? Though.
Yeah, I mean,
if I was them, I'd be terrified of any choices I make.
Now, when you say so you're saying Rebels characters just in live action and just in general, like you'd love to see like the live action take of these animated characters, right? That's kind of what you're getting at.
Yeah, mainly like Sabine and Ahsoka, and I hope in a way. I don't know, man. I go back and forth because if they stay animated with it, it would be cool. But if they did a live action, like that's what the sequel to Rebels is gonna be, is in live action. Jon Favreau, I don't know if you saw that the making of The Mandalorian. He basically explained how they were able to do these big elaborate sets with that wraparound green screen. And made it cheaper to do things. So maybe live action TV is like the way to go for the future now.
Yeah.
Away from animated. Obviously animated.
Yeah. I love the idea. I'm gonna bring in Bert the Nerd as well, and we could talk about this a little bit because I'm interested in what's up, Bert? Welcome.
Here, I made
nice,
it.
man. Welcome to the community stream. So I'm sure you probably
kind
of heard what we were talking about. We're talking about like the Rebels characters, right? Coming in. So Scottie, I'm just interested. What would you want to see out of like a live action Ezra Bridger? Because like I love the Ezra Bridger character, and I'm kind of interested in how they could portray that character very well in live action. Do you have any like takes on that?
Yeah, I feel like the best way to do it is pick like what they're doing with Rosario Dawson. Like find a name, attach like a big name to it. I don't know, people like Taron Egerton, but not necessarily him, but like a young actor that's like 20s, late 20s, 30s, a grown adolescent or whatnot. But yeah, I think Ezra, I don't know how you could even do that either because I feel like he's in some dire straits after he hyperspace jumps on those things. So did he even survive it?
Yeah. I'm really interested. I'm interested in just in general too the what they're gonna do with Ahsoka because it really seems like Ashley Eckstein is not involved at all. So I know some people thought maybe they were going to do what they do with Sam Witwer and Ray Park, where they have Sam do the voice, but Ray does the live action version of Maul. Like that's what they did in Solo. But it would appear that Ashley's not involved at all. So they're not going to be doing her voice, which is going to be interesting. And I'm just kind of interested in general to see what Rosario does with a live action Ahsoka. Do you have any like takes on that? Like what do you expect to see from her, and how will that be different than the sort of animated version of the character? And while you're doing that, I'm going to bring Trev in as well.
Yeah, I think the best way to do the Rosario Dawson Ahsoka is an older Ahsoka. We see her at the end of that Rebels epilogue thing, but we've never heard the voice of that age Ahsoka. True. Maybe like the Rise of Skywalker, but that wasn't Rosario's voice either. So I say you go older. Rosario kind of plays on the accent a little bit. Maybe Ashley even, maybe he reaches out to her. We don't know. She's a huge fan. She's been a fan for a long time. So you have to assume at some point she's gonna, reach out to the Ahsoka. I would hope.
Right. I got you. No, I mean, I appreciate the take. I think that I should have expected you to come in and be talking some Star Wars just because it's like totally your passion. So what about you, gentlemen? Burke, you got an animated thing that you would love to see in live action? Where's your head at, man?
Well, my first instinct is I want things like Young Justice or Teen Titans. Yeah. That's my first instinct. But if I'm separating myself from just like wanting comic adaptations, then I think one of them would be Avatar: The Last Airbender. I feel like they've tried because they've never done live action. They've never done
that
live
movie
action.
Is like
Avatar: The Last Airbender
on Netflix. It was like top 4 yesterday. I almost threw it on because so many people are watching that take on Avatar. But yeah, it's heralded as like sort of one of the worst adaptations ever. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and I think they have the technology. They could do a good live action like TV series and follow it. I think they actually could do that well now. I think before they kind of got in over their heads, but I think right now we've learned a lot from our mistakes and we can kind of move forward and do something good with that.
Yeah, I mean, I know that show's really beloved, and it's a weird way to connect it to what Scottie was talking about, but both Dave Filoni things, right? So Dave Filoni was heavily involved in The Last Airbender, and I know it's super beloved. I'd be interested in that. I think they already kind of have some ground. I'm sure they could sort of cherry pick the M. Night Shyamalama Ding Dong version and find, the best things out of that and pull the best things out of it, visual assets and stuff like that. So yeah, I'd be down. Trev, you got one, brother?
Pirates of Dark Water.
Pirates of Dark Water. I'm not familiar. I got to look this up real quick.
It was a cartoon in the early 90s. Okay. It only lasted like one season, but it was so good. So good.
What's the basic premise? Can you pitch it to us?
It's like a kid is like a kid who doesn't know his true origin story kind of thing, and he's captured by these pirates that are it's like a kind of a post-apocalyptic world, and it's like he has to find these things that his dad left him kind of clues to where he might be a king of something, but it only lasted there's 26 episodes. You can probably watch it on YouTube or something, but it was a good show when I was younger, and it was just I was really disappointed it only lasted the one season. It's just something that I thought it was really good. It was really well done back in the early 90s. Nice,
yeah.
At the same time that Batman was on and all that kind of stuff, right?
Okay, so. Cool. I mean, I have to check it out for sure to see. What's up, Stormbreaker? How you doing, brother?
All good.
Good. So you've heard us sort of talk a little bit about some of these picks so far. What do you think? I mean, do you have any thoughts on Last Airbender or what's this pirate one again, Trev?
Pirates of Dark Water.
But the Last Airbender is being made by Netflix, don't it?
Well, they're remaking. I think, an animated version. I think they're doing another Korra, right?
Oh.
Or they're doing either a sequel to Korra.
I thought it was a live action Last Airbender.
Hear that?
Well,
that's
awesome.
There
is a live action Last Airbender, but it was done by M. Night Shyamalan. And it's currently
in 2011.
Yeah, in 2011. It is on Netflix right now, and it's doing very well on Netflix. For some reason, it's jumped into the top 10. I think it's just quarantine. People are just running out of shit to watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they're just checking out The Last Airbender. But in either case, yeah, there already is a live action adaptation of it, but it left a lot to be desired for the fans. So there's people like Bert the Nerd that really want a good version of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what do you think about?
I'm actually.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
It said I'm reading on it, and it looks like there might actually be a live action adaptation coming to Netflix.
What?
I think you might
Yep.
be right.
No way.
Yep.
Really?
I'm seeing news about it. Yeah. That's ridiculous. I love it.
Dude, Stormbreaker.
I mean, I feel like Netflix has what it takes to do it right. We saw Witcher was really
that's
good.
very true. Dude, Stormbreaker is always like 3 steps ahead.
Yeah.
So
That's
I
awesome.
think that air has been going on for a long time, though. It's like one of those things that we don't really know if it's actually ever going to
Okay,
happen.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Last Airbender. I gotta look this up. This is pretty interesting. 2020.
Or how about a Dragon Ball one?
Ooh. Yeah. They never made that one either.
Yeah.
They never made that either. Yeah.
I know, right? I was thinking about that too, because like of course I want to see a Dragon Ball live action adaptation. There have been some sort of fan made ones in the past couple of years that are not that bad. I think one was called like Children of Light. And some of the fan made stuff seems really cool, but yeah, that Evolutions movie was so bad. Like it's really bad. Like I actually saw. I don't know if you guys did. I saw it in theaters, and it's one of those things where it sucks the wind out of you, man. And you're just like, ugh, like that is.
I saw both Avatar and Dragon Ball Evolution. In
Which
theaters,
one did you prefer? Which one was better in the theater?
Avatar.
Right on.
Yeah.
Stormbreaker.
And not like both Avatars actually were way better.
I really like the blue skin Avatar. I know a lot of people give it crap,
Oh, yeah.
but I really like that film. Stormbreaker, you got a pick for us, my friend.
Before I start, I'm going to say that maybe some of my picks are going to sound a little childish because I'm from an entirely different generation than
True.
you guys. But a show that I watched really much when I was younger was Beyblade.
Beyblade?
Oh, yes.
I'm not familiar. What's
Like
it
with the
Let it rip.
Yes.
Or Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Also,
So it's like a version
Yeah,
of
I
Yu-Gi-Oh.
read
Is
it.
that what it is?
no, it's like
No.
these sort of like tools, or what do you call it in
They're like
English?
tops, like spinning
Yeah.
tops, but you like make them battle in like an arena.
Oh, I see it.
It was a toy
I see it.
brand.
Yeah. Okay, I see it now. Okay, cool.
And if you had the metal ones,
Dude,
then you were like better than all your
they
friends.
had little things, and it's basically just
Yeah.
tops, and it's like whoever's top keeps
Yeah.
spinning, right?
Yeah.
And they like hit each other.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But the Beyblades have special powers because like some
Hey,
the one Beyblade turns into a Pegasus, the other turns into a dragon.
Interesting.
It's like, do you know that show Bakugan a couple of years ago?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
It's like that, but then with spinning tools.
Okay, very cool. And then Wrights Reviews comes up with a super chat. Just introduced my kids to Chippendales Rescue Rangers on Disney Plus. A live action adaptation would be a great family movie. Thank you so much for the support, brother. I want to know what you guys think about that. Chippendales Rescue Rangers on Disney
could do
Plus.
it.
What do you think?
It'd be similar to Alvin and the Chipmunks, though, like, right? Like, it'd be stylistically similar to that, right?
Yeah, I would say so, yeah.
So it'd just be kind of. I imagine it would do well. Like, if you could make it for, like,
Some of the-
less, like 50 to 100 million.
Yeah.
If theaters come back to normal, right?
Yeah. I think it could work. I mean, Sonic did pretty dang well, and Sonic got in there and got its money right before the shit hit the fan. You know what I mean? Like it did okay. I still think it was affected, but yeah, it could have. Scottie, I heard you saying something, but you were kind of glitched out. What were you saying, Scottie?
Oh, I don't want to say offensive things like the live action Airbender.
I'm sorry, man. It's kind of hard to hear you. Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
if it's your connection or if it's the iPad or something, but yeah, it's a little difficult to hear you.
Now,
Yeah.
Alright.
Unfortunately, it's.
I don't know if you got me now. It was lagging a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. I don't know if there's any way you could try to fix the connection or anything like that, but yeah, it's pretty frozen on my end. It's frozen for you guys too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably
Yeah.
for me. Yeah.
Yeah, Scotty, I'm gonna take you out of the thing, and let me know if you get it fixed out. You can send me a message on Insta.
I saw someone wrote in the chat Samurai Jack. That'd be a fantastic.
I was actually literally just looking up who I think would be a good cast for that because I was like, oh, Samurai Jack. How about Henry Golding?
Remind me who he is.
He's the one from Crazy Rich Asians and the
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
He would make a good Samurai Jack.
Dude, yeah, I actually have Samurai Jack on my list. I think that would be amazing to see a live action Samurai Jack. And it's got good mythology. It could definitely
work. It's like Kung Fu in the future, right?
Yeah. There's and like demons and stuff like that too. So no, I think that could work really well. I want to throw a crazy one at you guys and see what you think about this. Does anybody remember the show Street Sharks?
Yeah, I have seen it.
I've watched a few years ago. I went through watching the opening themes of cartoons from when I was a kid and everything, and Street Sharks was one of them. I was like, I don't remember watching this, but the opening theme is amazing.
Yeah, dude. So Street Sharks was kind of like Ninja Turtles, but with sharks. So they became, instead of turtles, they became sharks. And yeah, I just think it would be amazing and kind of hilarious to see.
Aren't they working on a live action adaptations for that for years?
Well, now? I don't think so, but now you got me questioning everything, Stormbreaker. So
I thought I heard something about that they wanted to make a live action version of that 5-6 years ago or something like that.
It'd probably be on the Sci-Fi Network or something, and
yeah,
super low budget.
Let's see here.
Yeah,
there's definitely somebody that made some.
Yo, you guys remember? I don't know if you can hear me.
We got you.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Good.
Yeah. Damn. All right. You remember Jordan Peele pitched a live action Gargoyles and it got rejected.
Did he
really?
It to Warner Brothers, right?
Yeah. Well, Warner Brothers can.
Yeah, they don't make good decisions.
We can have an entire conversation. They are.
Well, it's funny, just on the topic of Warner Brothers, it's a little bit off topic, but man, I got flamed on Twitter yesterday.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, from the Batman video. Apparently people were pretty upset with my take about Batman. And so I started to write an article this morning for the website, and the title is that DC fans are blind as a bat when it comes to the Batman.
Funny thing is, I 100% agree with all your takes yesterday on the Batman.
I'm
not Matt Reeves. Matt Reeves isn't he's even when he was hired, what was it, 3 year ago, 4 years ago now already? I wasn't excited for his take on Batman. It wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, I thought I outlined, at least at the beginning of the video, that, look, it can be good. I want it to be good. I want to be wrong. You know what I mean? But it's it's the internet, so people just ignore that part of it anyways. But yeah, I just, I obviously feel the way I feel about it. But yeah, Warner Brothers is a mess, dude. I just don't understand. Can somebody just get the shit out of the It's horrible. But as far as what you were saying, Scotty, man, live action Gargoyles is my most wanted. That's my most wanted. That would be the coolest.
With Keith David, would you bring Keith David back as the voice?
How's he? What kind of shape is he in these days?
And all Star Trek The Next Generation cast, because they pretty much play all the secondary characters in that show.
Oh my God, that's a good point. I had no idea.
Damona's Troy, Xanatos is Riker.
Holy shit.
The other guy they bring back is Worf. The one guy, Puck, is Data.
Really?
Titania's Kafka is Captain, the Voyager captain there. It's all Star Trek. It's all Star Trek voice cast.
Wow, that's awesome.
Dude, I'd love to. I mean, I'd say why not bring them back, but they probably would cast. They'd probably recast and find new people. But yeah, I just felt like that was one of the best animated shows. It was so cool. The plot was actually really interesting. So yeah, I mean,
like I said, it was very similar stylistically to Batman.
Yeah, it was.
I think that's what it was like the darkness all the time and everything else, right? So. Mm-hmm. I think that's what drew a lot of people into it, actually, as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Isn't some of this stuff almost impossible to pull off?
As far as a live action adaptation?
Dragon Ball Z, doing that stuff well.
That's another side of it too. Is how would you do it? because I think when it comes to something like Gargoyles, you would want to do practical effects, right? So really, it would be about nailing how the Gargoyles
They look.
looked, right? Now,
Otherwise, you get the way the Seven Sins looked in Captain Marvel, right?
You basically just ask the
Or
fans.
Shazam.
Yeah.
Shazam. I mean,
Yeah.
Shazam.
Well,
not
you know
Captain
what's
Marvel, but the way the Seven
I was
Sins
thinking
looked.
about, if you guys remember in I think it was the first Dark Knight movie where the version of Batman that we see when Scarecrow takes his own thing. Do you guys remember what that looked like?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was imagining for the Gargoyles. I would put a sort of more mature, very scary twist on it and make them look kind of terrifying. You know what I mean? Like that's how I would do it, and have the humans kind of deal with these things and have them be a little bit more monstrous. But some of the best characters in that show are actually humans. You know what I mean? Like whether it was like what they ended up doing with Macbeth, or even Xanatos, or what's her name, Detective. I forget the detective's name.
Montoya? Not Montoya.
Yeah.
Is it Montoya?
No, but it's like something like that. I think it's like Rodriguez or something like that. I think she's Hispanic, but yeah, no, I think that would be really cool. But Bert the Nerd, I want to ask, do you have another pick, another desire?
I have two. One is much more likely than the other. First one, more likely, Archer.
Dude, Archer's on my list.
Archer would be sick. Just make it. It'd be. I mean, that'd be the easiest, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, to do. Get someone like a Ryan Reynolds type or something.
Oh my God.
Do it well, I think.
You're talking my language. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Second one was Adventure Time, and that's very unlikely, but it'd be hilarious to see if they could pull it off live action.
CGI DeVito and damn dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could certainly do that. That would be a very tough one to pull off
super tough, yeah.
stylistically, I feel. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Well, they did it like, what's that? My girlfriend's gonna kill me. But Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Like, what if they did it?
Yeah.
In that style?
Yeah.
That's Loki. That's a good movie. Like I really enjoy that movie. Like it didn't do well, but I really enjoy that movie.
Yeah, I like that movie.
Yeah,
lot, actually.
who's the director that does did like the Alice in Wonderland stuff? He always brings his wife into all the movies. I forget.
Tim Burton.
Tim Burton, yeah.
Oh.
I feel like he could do a good like.
Helen. You're thinking Helen Bonham Carter.
Yeah.
I did not know they were married.
I don't know if they are married or not, but I think that's when he's talking about it. I think that's who he's talking about.
I thought it was. I don't know.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think that
like the love interest from Fight Club, right? The girl from Fight Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sweeney.
Yeah, and Sweeney Todd. Yeah, she's in like a lot of stuff. She's got a very unique look. But yeah, I would be down with both of those. Like you said, I think that I think Archer would be a pretty easy one to pull off. I think Archer live action could be brilliant. Like so good, dude. Yeah. Like I love that show. I love watching that show. The animated does kind of bring it has this fun to it, you know what I mean? And there's more stuff that you can maybe get away with, but like that Scott Pilgrim movie I think is a really good parallel as to bringing in some of that animated fun into live action. Edgar Wright's really smart about doing that.
I know they've optioned Mask, right? Like the old they want to do like a Mask G.I. Joe Transformers kind of. They were kind of trying to work on that for a while, right? Something like that.
I'm not super familiar with that. I know that they're doing it in that in Space Jam 2 or whatever. Like Warner Brothers is putting the Mask into Space Jam 2 apparently, but I don't know.
Not the Mask.
Mask.
Not the Mask. Mask is as an acronym. There were all these little like mini G.I. Joes that wore masks. Like not even the small G.I. Joes, like even like smaller characters. It was a cartoon, lasted about 2 seasons.
Oh,
I think.
really?
It's like they were super cool toys, like in around late 80s, early 90s.
Nice. Yeah, no, I'm not familiar. But yeah, that could work.
I guess I'm older than all you guys.
Look,
I don't know.
That's all right. That's all right. Like we'll get educated. Maybe I'll check it out.
Like, or how about a He-Man, Silverhawks, Thundercats kind of combination?
Yeah, I know that was probably going to be on the line.
Silverhawks and Thundercats.
Yeah.
Silverhawks, let's go.
Yeah.
I remember like at mental start and keeping it.
I love that theme music for Silverhawks.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Hey, look, it could work. I think there's definitely a market for all of that stuff. I think Thundercats Thundercats. I think I've seen attached and being developed like a lot, right? Thundercats is probably something that's.
Well, it's also the same production. It's like Silverhawks and Thundercats. We're supposed to be set in the same universe.
Okay,
like
cool.
the original cartoon in the 80s.
Cool.
What about Tim Burton live action Nightmare Before Christmas?
Nightmare Before, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you get like Jim Henson Productions involved too,
Ooh.
and it like Dark Crystal series they just did.
That would be cool.
Jack Skellington.
Do you think Jim Carrey could do a good Jack Skellington?
Yeah, that's a good.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think Jim Carrey or Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp could do a good one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're both kind of similar in that way. That sort of flamboyant portrayal that would work really well with Jack's character. Yeah. No, I think.
How did they?
They can mocap him.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Stormbreaker, you got another pick?
yeah. So what about live action adaptation of the original Digimon series?
Digimon?
Pokemon kind of worked.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Pokemon's kind of killing it right now. I mean, and between Pokemon and Sonic, I definitely think the video game adaptations and stuff like that have been going much better. But yeah, dude, Digimon could certainly work. And by the way, I loved that show. Absolutely loved that show. Adored it.
But would you swap it with the series, like bring the Digimons over to the human world, or would you do it like in the cartoon, like having the humans going to the Digimon world?
What do you guys think?
Because I can see
I
if
think
you
you'd AI related digital monsters. I wouldn't think you'd set up separate worlds. You'd just be AI created animals kind of thing. Like you do it like a more of a different kind of take on it rather than having an alternate universe.
Yeah, there could certainly be some interesting ways to make it work. I don't know if I would if I was personally doing it. I don't know if I would change it much from because in the show it's a digital world, right? And
yes,
yeah, and so
Is it like virtual reality, basically?
I think so. It's yeah.
but what the problem is with that is that people are going to compare it to Jumanji.
That's true.
I just had a thought of Westworld.
Yeah.
Digimon.
That's kind of what I was. Honestly, that's where my head went too. I was like, this is sort of like a Westworld kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, imagine the Digimon are sentient, and
They're trying to.
Yeah. Like, there's like a Dolores Digimon that's like taking over and stuff like that. It'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think you don't. Oh, sorry. Good.
No. Go ahead, Ben.
I was gonna say I don't think you like. I think the thing about like the generation we're in, we're gonna start to see a lot of movies that are like Jumanji because like VR is so prevalent. Where like we kind of want to start exploring what are the implications of like being in a different universe and then being able to come back and be in our own universe and like how do you cope with that? So I think that's gonna be like something we see more of.
Yeah, apparently that's a big category of manga that is becoming very very popular right now. My buddy was just explaining to me that like there's a word for it. I think it's a S word. I wouldn't be able to pronounce it even if I had it right in front of me. But it's like essentially that genre has picked up a lot of momentum lately, and I do think that like when you look at like Westworld and how that's relating to the modern problems that we're going through, I agree. Actually, I think that is going to be a genre that is continued to be cherry picked more and more as we move ahead. Interesting to see. Let me throw another weird one out, and I want to see what you guys think about this. The Boondocks. Have you guys ever watched the Boondocks?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that'd be good.
I love that show. And I think a live action version of it, again, I'm loving this Edgar Wright comparison, you know what I mean, to what he did with Scott Pilgrim, because I would want to see something like that. Because part of the joy of that show is when it gets taken over the top. Like when like Martin Luther King comes back but isn't interested in being a civil rights leader. And like that whole story arc is hilarious and amazing. And where they kidnap the president's son or like the senator's son is like doing all this gangster stuff. Like it's just, I'd love to see the show done way over the top, way crazier. And Jordan Peele would be a great person, I think, to helm a project like that. It would be pretty cool.
I was just trying to think of who would direct it. That's a good one.
Yeah, he would need help, right? Like on the visual side of things. But I think he'd have the right sensibilities for it. You know what I mean? I got some people in the chat asking if like anime counts. I know we sort of talked a little bit about anime, but does anybody have
Cowboy Bebop? As a Cowboy Bebop been in development hell for like 20 years. I don't know if they've ever done anything live. Like I remember being optioned to be developed. I think in the early 2000s.
Yeah,
I've heard. Yeah,
I'm saying that. Go ahead.
I mean, I've heard that as well. Does anybody have a take on Cowboy Bebop being in live action? Stormbreaker, do you know about the production?
No, no, I don't watch anime.
Oh man, you should start watching a little.
Yeah,
bit
I know.
I got some recommendations
I have
for you.
I have a very good friend that watches anime all the time, but it's just not my. But I'm going to say that one character called All Might. I think he's very cool.
Yeah, All Might's dope, dude.
We stand All Might.
Oh yeah.
Watch X.
There's a
Hunter x Hunter is the best. My favorite. It's not the best. It's my favorite.
Hunter x Hunter. You said?
Oh yeah.
I've heard it's really good. Yeah.
Netflix.
Solid first season. It'll get you hooked. It's so good.
I'm just.
So
What about Voltron? You got it in the picture.
Yeah,
Voltron's anime.
Voltron. I don't understand why we haven't got Voltron yet. I'm wondering if it's something to do with the Transformers and like studios
and the Power Rangers.
Yeah, maybe studios just felt like that's too like saturated. Yeah.
Well, Power Rangers is a take on Voltron, right? Like if you look at that history and everything, right? It's the same. It's like the same property, right?
Well, Power Rangers took a bunch of Japanese, sort of versions of that. And Sagan like bought it all, cut it together, and sort of redubbed it, and then shot all the stuff with the American kids. So like it quite literally takes from like Gundam type stuff over in Japan and kind of makes it into its own thing.
So when they're talking about what was I watching? When they're talking about remaking that they're redeveloping Power Rangers again, I would just go with Voltron.
Yeah, well, that new Netflix series was very popular for Voltron. I think it did a lot of good for that brand. I think that show was relatively big. Didn't it go for like 4 or 5 seasons at this point?
Or more, I don't know.
Yeah.
They were releasing like 6 episodes at a time, I think, for a while, right? So,
okay, yeah. I think they were trying like that wheel schedule on Netflix. But yeah, I'd be totally down with that, man. I have good memories of Voltron. I think Voltron is cool, and I like the new version as well. It's a little bit more, I want to say, sort of Disneyfied, but Voltron would be really cool, and I think a brand that like people would show up to see. So it's potentially a big IP for somebody.
Captain Planet without Don Cheadle?
No, with Don Cheadle.
Also, it's also in a similar vein as it's also all these kind of the Captain Planet's kind of a similar thing to Voltron as well, kind of thing. It's like the 5 characters combining their powers for a super character kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Similar how much of these things are kind of similar.
It's
funny. I mean, not funny. It's funny how much these themes are kind of similar. And
definitely.
Kid show.
What about heavy metal? Trinity said heavy metal in the chat. Have you guys seen Heavy Metal? Has everybody seen that movie?
Yep.
Does everybody know the story behind? Does everybody know the story behind Love, Death, and Robots?
No.
Oh, Love, Death, and Robots started out as the guys trying to do a sequel to Heavy Metal.
Really?
And couldn't get a studio to back it, and so it just turned into a bunch of these shorts. But it's in the vein of Heavy Metal. And when I heard
I think it was, yeah. Do you ever watch? You guys ever seen The Fifth Element?
Oh yeah.
You know, like the first part of The Fifth Element is taken directly from Heavy Metal.
No, I gotta watch
really?
it,
like with the whole concept
it's
of
like
the love element and all.
No. The first short, like the first short in Heavy Metal is almost like what the scenes are in, like when Lulu crashes into the cab and everything else, and like it's
That would be pretty dope, man. That would be pretty dope. Yeah, Trinity's feeling it. Yeah, I think that Heavy Metal is. If you haven't seen Heavy Metal, highly recommend seeing it. Crazy, like, man, and I love like the history of nerdy shit and just like our history as nerds. Like, if we go back and look at these different things, is so fascinating, man. Because like that era, like when Heavy Metal represents so many things being kind of combined together. And I think it was right around that same time when like Dungeons and Dragons was on the rise, and there was like a lot of just crazy stuff kind of being blended together, and all these subgroups, right? That's what like nerds and fandom kind of became, was like these subgroups of people. But yeah, heavy metal is fantastic.
Heavy Metal was one of the first movies.
Yeah, there's Heavy Metal 2000 too, as Captain Pennsylvania just wrote. But there was Heavy Metal 2000.
I don't know if I've even seen that.
There was an actual sequel to it. Yeah.
That was one of the first movies. Heavy Metal was one of the first movies where I was like, "Oh my god, I cannot believe my parents would let me watch this right now."
Right, yeah, because like, dude, doesn't like
Right.
heads melt and explode and like crazy stuff like that? Yeah.
Or like what Rob Zombie does sometimes.
Yeah. Ooh.
His style.
Ooh. David Fuller in chat says Metalocalypse. Tell me you guys have seen Metalocalypse.
No.
Yeah.
You guys no Stormbreaker, no Burke.
No,
Okay,
I'm sorry.
So you guys know who the late great sweaty John Schnepp was, right? Okay, so Schnepp worked on Metalocalypse quite a bit, and it's essentially like this story of this like Swedish rock band that is like they're so hardcore, but also kind of supernatural in some ways, like with their powers and abilities. But it is literally just. Like, you got to watch it. It is so brutal. Very similar to Heavy Metal in some respects, but, like, hilarious. Hilarious. So I would definitely be down for that.
Do you know where we can watch it?
I know it was on Adult Swim. It's Cartoon Network, John. I don't know. I'm sure there's ways you could find it online.
I think Adult Swim, you can just watch it online.
Yeah, you might be able to just
On
watch
their
it off of
website.
their website, to be honest with you.
All right.
Also, I realized that's from that's where the brutal meme
Yes.
is. There's a meme, the brutal
Yes.
meme from them. I knew the meme, I didn't know them.
Yeah, dude. There's so many great episodes in that show. It's so funny. Like it's wild. Like it's very wild. But it's one of those shows that like it has like some hints of like Ren and Stimpy where it's so gross and over the top and violent in some spots that you like take a step back and it's like the absurdity of what you're watching is what's funny about it.
Yeah.
But
There's I just looked it up on. There's Deathlock Awaken. He has like or Claire Connor. She has like all the episodes just done or something like that. Like all the on YouTube.
really
Like 100 episodes
nice. Okay.
or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I would definitely recommend checking that out and finding that link. That's a YouTube channel, you said?
That's just on a YouTube channel.
Nice.
Yeah. It's just someone has made a list about it. Just the whole thing. Metalocalypse full episodes just on YouTube.
Okay, so Jonathan has a super chat that says, Tarna from Heavy Metal. Who would you cast as Tarna from Heavy Metal?
Tarna, the one in the last one who rides like the animal and everything. She's that one, right? I don't know. I got nothing right now, but just maybe Charlize Theron off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Blonde, badass.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, she's certainly like, I don't know. Dude, I'm so bad with casting. I'm particularly bad when it comes to casting with female actresses. Unfortunately, like it's tough for me. It's tough for me.
I think you want like a tall.
Angelina Jolie
tough-looking.
Angelina Jolie could probably do it.
Yeah.
I'd like Angelina Jolie. Yeah. Trinity says, I like cocaine. He actually says, I do cocaine, I believe, is what he says, Trinity. There's like a clown in the show. It's like, I do cocaine. Seriously, guys. I do a lot of cocaine. But yeah, no, that's a very fun one. That's very fun. South Park?
What about any of those?
I don't think South Park.
My buddy said South Park to me the other day too.
How would you do South Park live
I
action?
think it's like.
What's up?
And then I'm thinking about any of the South Park video games and the storylines they do in that, and it could have a total like Stranger Things vibe to it, and maybe they do like the first time Kenny dies, and it's all about like how to get Kenny back. You know, like what? That was the quick pitch for my buddy who was talking about South Park when he brought up.
The Stranger Things thing is pretty interesting. I Duffer Brothers doing a live action South Park. That's kind of interesting.
I think the only way you do it is if you do it with like actual kids.
Right.
Like, you remember what was the movie that came out last year and it had like the 3 kids that were
On
I cut you out.
Good Boys.
Good Boys, yeah. If they did something like that, that could work.
I don't know if
That
I
was
saw
good.
that.
It's funny.
Yeah. It was surprisingly vulgar for 3 like 10, 12-year-olds talking the whole time.
No, I believe it. No, that's kind of interesting.
But it was so true to like when you're a little kid and the thoughts.
Yeah.
Through your head, like it was spot on.
Yeah.
The beat for me anyway.
No, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like that's a tough one for me. That's like The Simpsons. It's like I don't see a live action Simpsons like working. Like some of the joy of that stuff is just created within the sort of iconic way that those characters are drawn. You know what I mean?
But yeah, that style is
Yeah.
go. You can't really.
How about Invincible?
Invincible would be dope. But have they done animated? That's comic book, right?
I think that's. I think Seth Green is working on not Seth Green. Seth. Am I thinking right?
It could be
Seth.
Rogen?
Yeah.
Seth Rogen. I guess the same guy working on The Boys, The Preacher, right?
Yes.
It's like his production company.
Hmm.
I think they've optioned Invincible to be an animated show. But yeah, I would love it. I would love it as a first, more as a first person comedic take on Superman kind of thing. Like, hi, my name is Mark Grayson, and my life, it's not normal anymore.
Yeah.
After he discovers he has powers. And everything.
No, it could definitely work, dude. That could be really interesting. I saw Captain Pennsylvania talk about Johnny Bravo. What do you guys think about Johnny Bravo?
Yeah.
Who would you cast as him?
The Rock.
Exactly.
Can I say John Cena?
One week.
John Cena's way better. John Cena's way better.
Chris Hemsworth?
Yeah, Chris Hemsworth. Ooh, Chris Hemsworth could do it. But okay, so this is what you should do with Johnny Bravo. Make Johnny Bravo make a pseudo woke movie where it's like Johnny Bravo trying to exist in the 2020s. You know what I mean? And it's like the Gillette commercial where he's like, "Whoa, mama," and they're all like, "Hey, man, we don't do that anymore." You know what I mean? And trying to teach him how to be politically correct. I think that would be very funny.
You can make an easy R-rated comedy out of that.
Yeah.
The generation's there. I mean, the people that watched it.
That's what they're not. See, that's the thing. I feel like some of this, and actually I was just writing about in this article, kind of shitting on the Batman again. But I was talking about how,
You stopped it.
So, what's up?
You stopped it.
Yeah, I know some people aren't super pumped about it. But I was talking about things like the new Terminator movie or the Ocean's Take or even the new Charlie's Angels, where it's I actually don't think it's so much of this idea of going woke that hurts these movies as far as their fan base. It's that they sort of just they're doing that, and they're also just getting away from the baseline things that made fans of those things in the first place. Charlie's Angels is kind of for men, and it's female fatale sexiness, awesome action, but with eye candy. That is what it is. That is the demographic. That's what it was. I think the whole idea of doing something progressive could be more interesting if you did do it with something like Johnny Bravo, because there's, first of all, not as much of an expectation and not as much of a built-in fan base, but some of what made Johnny so funny was just his sort of lovable idiot attitude with life. And I think that you could do something like that and make it a little bit more political, and it wouldn't run into the same problems that some of this other stuff is. Where maybe people could walk out of that movie, laugh about it, and say, I do see where that movie was coming from, as opposed to now where it's just people getting butthurt about how they're changing these things that they loved. I don't know. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. Don't spoon feed people with morals.
Right.
Now, what about Beavis and Butthead?
Beavis and Butthead? Dude, I think Beavis and Butthead could totally work.
Cornholio?
Have they ever tried that? Was there ever any talk about doing a live action Beavis and Butthead at all?
Well, they had their own movie, right? In Beavis and Butthead Do America in 1998 or something? 99?
True,
maybe?
yeah. That was animated though, right?
Yeah, that was animated. And Mike Judge made that, eh?
Yeah. That's
Mike Judge made that. King of the Hill.
He's the Office Space guy too,
Idiocracy.
right?
Silicon Valley.
He made Silicon Valley?
Pretty sure, yeah.
Nice.
Pretty sure Mike Judge is the head producer on that, or not the showrunner, but.
Ooh, what about Bionic?
I feel like cartoon sketch.
What's up, Scottie?
Translate. I was gonna say, I feel like cartoon sketch comedy is hard to translate into live action. I don't know if anybody saw the however many ways to die in the West that Seth MacFarlane did.
1,000 ways to die, or 1,000,000 ways to die in the West, right?
Yeah.
1,000,000 ways to die.
I feel like that was just an episode of Family
Guy
Guy jokes.
Yeah.
just I don't know, stuff like that kind of misses with me. So when you talk about like episodic cartoons and how you do it live action without a story,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's probably why I'm having trouble visualizing like The Simpsons or Family Guy or South Park. Is just that like it's really not like story driven. It's although South Park, to be fair, does a really good job of coming up with like arcs and stories and doing really interesting things, but it is still topical, almost sketch comedy, but it's not exactly like Family Guy. But yeah, I see.
Saying that though, Family Guy did those Star Wars movies, right? Where they just dropped their characters into Star Wars movies, like Blue Harvest and all that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. I wouldn't mind cartoons, like not live. Obviously, wouldn't be live action, but like I wouldn't mind more cartoons doing that. Like, parody takes on like famous movies, like Die Hard with like The Simpsons or something, like or South Park or something, right? You know what I mean? Like just like I wouldn't mind seeing like obviously it's like a niche audience for those things, but like it's
flip this around. What live action adaptation would you like to see a cartoon?
Yeah, I was just thinking that. I think that could be fun.
Yeah. Like what live action would you like to see done by this cartoon or that cartoon or
in that style, right? I don't know, man.
Lord of the Rings, He-Man.
Yeah,
I guess they kind of did that though. I've watched one of those, like the 70s Lord of the Rings.
The OG.
The Witcher in He-Man style.
What's up?
Ooh.
The Witcher in He-Man style.
Yeah. Yeah, or I think The Witcher worked well as an anime, actually.
Yeah. The Witcher could work well as an anime. I've always loved Star Wars in the anime or manga format. I've always felt like that's a really nice compliment. So that could be cool.
Yeah, what was those little cartoon shorts with the actual Star Wars audio? Like that style?
Oh, yeah, Galaxy of Heroes, I think. Was that it?
That's the
audio.
Yeah, but yeah, whichever.
Like Galaxy of Adventures or something. Yeah, where they use the actual audio.
But the style of animation in that is actually I don't know. I can't think if it's more anime or not, but it's like it's a nice style though.
Ooh, a Zelda movie. That would be really cool, man.
That's going back to Adventure Time kind of thing too.
I feel like there was talks of that on Netflix recently.
Well, that was like years ago. I actually did videos about it. Yeah. It was like years ago. The Legend of Zelda Netflix series was a big thing. A lot of people were talking about. And then, like, I don't know if it was just never real or if it was something that Netflix kind of just shelved. Apparently, Netflix has an algorithm that they decide their production.
Yeah, like 3 seasons and you're out usually, right? Because that's usually.
Well, they not only that, but when they put all their pitches together, they have an algorithm decide what pitches to move forward with.
Oh.
Yeah. So talk about Westworld.
That episode. Well, there was that episode of Rick and Morty just like a couple months ago, right, where Morty's pitching the Netflix guys. That same episode.
Well, what was the one where they had the dolphins or whatever in South Park? Didn't they make fun of Family Guy by saying that the Family Guy writers were a bunch of manatees? That hit the little balls. Yeah.
There was, speaking of the Link movie. We I think it was a couple weeks ago we made a video because we were jokingly saying they should make the Smash Brothers cinematic universe with the Sonic movie, take the Pikachu, and then you could and we went through and we were like, what's the timeline? Like, how would you do the phases? And like, it was like,
that would be awesome.
I think it would be sick. Yeah. I think it would be sick. They just have to get the studios to work together, make some Netflix specials, like partner with Netflix, and then have some TV series run into it too, and just do this whole universe.
Dude, that would be sick.
If they left Sonic's origin more ambiguous, he could have been a Pokemon.
He could just get like an envelope, like how they do in like the games, where you're like, end credit scene, they see an envelope and they're like, oh, what is this? And they get like teleported away, show up in an arena. Kirby's the Hulk of the movie, so he just shows up and he's like wrecking everyone, of course.
Dude, I would love that. I would love that.
I think it'd be awesome.
If they make a Nintendo shared universe, like every movie they make has a post-credit scene with them opening an envelope with them, you are invited to Smash.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly like that, yeah.
That would be cool. Like the Avengers Endgame of Nintendo is Smash Brothers.
Exactly.
Dude.
You just make the phases like the games.
What would be the plot of like a Mortal Kombat?
Yeah.
I was just thinking.
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking.
Something
Yeah,
like
I was
that.
like some kind of
Make like a master hand.
yeah, Master Hand.
So who's Shao Kahn?
Master Hand?
Who's
Probably.
running the?
Yeah.
Make
And they
a
have
live-action
villains
Star
in each
Fox
of the
movie.
games, so you can follow that.
Yeah.
You have like Crazy Hand and do the like souls or something. I don't remember the game storylines very well, but you could do it.
Dude, that would be so cool. A Nintendo shared universe. I hope that's kind of what they're building towards anyways. And what would you guys say about a new Mario movie kind of done in the vein of Sonic? Like, because you know what I mean? Like you bring Mario in as a character from a different world.
Who are you going
With a terrible Italian accent.
Yeah.
Are you going Space Jam?
Yeah.
Are you going Space Jam with it and putting the actual dude in the cartoon world, or
Yeah.
I think you do
Do it.
full. I think you do full animation, but it's like kind of realistic, right?
That would work. That would work a lot better than what I was thinking. I was thinking of doing something, where you drop like a human
Jeez.
being in, or you have Mario come into our world, or something like that. Are you gonna make it, Stormbreaker?
Like,
Don't die on us, man.
like Cool World? Anybody ever see that?
Yeah, I saw Cool World in theaters.
Cool World.
I mean, we've seen like with Elite Battle Angel, they can do like hyper realistic animation.
Yeah.
And something like that might work because you're gonna have to do that with every character, or it's gonna be Who Framed Roger Rabbit style when you get to the Avengers. You know, the actual Smash Bros matchups.
Death and Robots. The episode called The Witness.
I didn't see
I
that
saw
one.
that.
I haven't watched Love, Death, and Robots yet, but yeah, go ahead.
There was an animation style in that where the whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, these are just people with painted animations over the top of them. Like it looked like.
There's that movie
Really?
with Keanu Reeves and Robert Downey Jr. and Winona Ryder, Scanner Darkly,
Scanner Darkly. Yep.
Then you find
where they do animation over top of the actual.
I nearly died there.
Yeah.
Rotoscope,
Glad you did.
rotoscoping.
Yeah, it's called rotoscoping. Yeah, where they'll take the footage and trace frame by frame, do drawing over top of the footage. Yeah, that would be really cool.
So that looked like, but it was actual animation. I don't know if they used CGI or anything like that, but they found out there were actually no actors there. It was all created, and that would be a style to do it.
Huh? Yeah, that would be
What?
nuts.
What would you guys think of an live-action Overwatch movie? Like it's not a cartoon, but they make animated shorts, so I think it counts.
Yeah, I think it could work. Again, with certain characters like Winston, you would want to do like a hyper realistic sort of anime.
Yeah.
But like you can have human based characters too. Like Hanzo could be a human. A lot of the characters could be human. Yeah, that would be really interesting. By the way, just a side note on Overwatch. I know from when I was in indie comics, did you know that basically Blizzard came in and there was a guy in indie comics that did a Kickstarter for a comic book that had all of these different characters, and Blizzard bought that IP from him, and literally all of those characters were created by a dude that I know that I don't even know if I should tell you what he got paid, but it is not a lot. And those characters are now super big, huge, like $1 million IP. And they just basically like gave the dude kind of a raw deal.
That sucks.
Yeah, it's crazy. So every time I see like someone that has like a tattoo, because like that's how passionate people are about Overwatch. They'll get a tattoo of like Tracer or whatever. You know what I mean? And I see it.
What was that kid? That kid who submitted a picture of like black suited Spider-Man or something like that. I think he went on to work for Marvel later, but like
They scooped it up.
he never. Yeah, like Marvel scooped it. Like Marvel just made the money off of it, right?
Yeah.
But like it's just like
It's like people that are game designers, like board game designers. They make like nothing.
Yeah.
And then Hasbro just like buys them all out.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's a tough game out there. StarCraft movie, Ryan says that would be dope. Maybe that's what we should do either next or later on, is like video game adaptations that we like need to see. Because that Halo movie, man, I've been waiting so long for that Halo movie. You guys remember?
I know.
Peter Jackson was attached to that back in the day.
yeah.
Someone BioShock.
Dude, that would be a great movie, especially the first one. Holy crap.
The first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. The twist and everything. Like, oh.
Yeah.
They made Forward Unto Dawn. Do you remember the fan made movie on YouTube for Halo?
Yes, they did. Well, so forward on.
It's on Netflix, I think.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of that was Neil Blomkamp actually. Neil Blomkamp did a series of shorts that actually were produced by Peter Jackson, and this is the start of Peter Jackson and Blomkamp's relationship. And so like Weta was used heavily in District 9 and Chappie and like moving forward. So that was like the start of their relationship together. But yeah, that was really cool. And then they did another one for Halo Reach, I think, which had like an actual actor. It was pretty decent with the way they portrayed the Spartans and all that.
I'd use the guy.
What's up, Scottie?
I would use the guy from Avatar as Master Chief.
Yeah.
Sam.
Yeah.
Worthington.
Sam Worthington would be great. Yeah, he could definitely do it.
Yeah.
And his commander would be great in that movie as well. Warhammer.
What about a Who Framed Roger Rabbit style? This is already happening, so like it could happen. But like Into the Spider-Verse, Who Framed Roger Rabbit style, you bring Tom Holland Spider-Man, you bring Andrew Garfield, and you bring Tobey Maguire, and because they like come into the human multiverse part of the multiverse.
Nuts. I'd love it.
And they're all just like run around with like the regular characters.
I would definitely be down.
That, or I wouldn't even mind seeing like the animated versions of them in Spider-Verse period as well.
Because the one
of those Spider-Man,
the one really, it is really. I mean, it seemed like to me that the main Spider-Man in that film was the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. When they go through the different events, they all seem to be from those movies where he like stops the train, and different things like that. So
where he's talking with Mary Jane in the cart,
right.
Octopus throws the car into the thing.
Right, so it felt like it was already Tobey's Spider-Man, but yeah, they could bring in the other ones for sure. I think that would be really cool.
I think they hinted at live action. Can't remember what movie it was where he's like all tripping out and he's like falling through the different things. He gets punched by that massive hand. Was that in the last movie? Where he and all the illusions.
Oh, as far as Far From Home.
Yeah, it wasn't that, I think, but that was like kind of like a Spider-Verse. I felt like anyway that was kind of like a Spider-Verse tribute when he was like going through all these different like illusions that were being created. I got that vibe of the movie when the portals were all converging on.
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see what they do with all of that, and just Spider-Man and Sony and Marvel. It's gonna be really interesting to watch how all that plays out in the next couple of years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's see here. What about Warhammer or Warhammer 40K?
There's a game called Vermintide, which takes place in the Warhammer universe, and it's just people fighting like these hordes of rats, like rat people and stuff. I'd see that. I'd watch that. Some dark like horror action movie. Probably super low budget.
Yo, I don't know about rats, but this just gave me the oh man, what is it? The Nim.
The Secret of Nim.
The Secret of Nim.
Like 1983 or 84 or something like that. Don Bluth. The Don Bluth animation.
I've never seen it.
Yeah.
You've never seen The Secret of Nim?
Oh my god.
Is The Secret of Nim awesome?
Dude, so awesome.
It's a pretty good movie. Yeah.
Read the book too.
Okay, all right, might as well check that out.
Don Bluth animation, like the same people that made Fievel and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Before they made Fievel.
It's the National Institute of Mental Health is experimenting on rats and mice, and they gain intelligence ape, and it's cool.
Maybe I have seen The Myth of Nim. I think I actually, because that sounds so familiar.
You were really young when you saw it.
It's not on TV lots though, like in the last 40 years.
Yeah, that might have been one that I saw, and I actually Last Airbender. Yeah, we talked about Last Airbender actually already. We agreed that would be really cool. But yeah, I mean, I guess we'll call it there, guys. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for everybody coming on into the chat. We still have to figure out what we're gonna do for Monday's community stream because we have another community stream on Monday. And I don't know what to do. I'm tempted to even do this video game idea in live action. But we're going to hop on Patreon in probably 15 or 20 minutes, and I'll talk to the Patreons about that, and we'll make an announcement by the end of the day for Monday. But yeah, thank you guys so much for.
Let's react to Josh's Batman.
Yeah, thank
Thanks
you.
for having me.
Batman take.
What's up? Oh, my Batman take.
Let's react to that.
We're.
Big time
I don't know if we want to do that. I mean, we can invite some. That.
Yeah, I'll be.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind.
I support you, Josh.
Well, thanks, brother. I wouldn't mind debating that idea with people. I was actually thinking about it too. I was like, well, there's some hardcore DC people that it would be interesting to talk to about this film, because like it's like, look, I'm not against it being awesome. I feel like I'm one of the only people out there that's like, hey man, I'm concerned. Everyone else that I've seen has been like, this is mind blowing, and I'm like, is it though? But yeah, that's neither here nor there. We'll talk. I'm sure we'll talk about that in the Patreon thing. But thank you guys for being here, and thank you guys for watching at home. We're gonna get out of here. I'll see you guys on Monday at 10 a.m. and then we will do our community stream Monday night. So look for an announcement on social media or on our community tab about what we will be talking about Monday night. But thanks again, everybody. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.